call the select board meeting to order. Wait, was that loud enough? Okay, is that a little bit?
Is that like a drink stir?
Something, yeah. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the select board meeting for December 7th, 2022. Do you have a copy of the minutes?
I do, right here.
I gave it to Aaron. You had a lot in
Aaron's
front of
got
you.
it. Okay, yeah, I got a lot in front of me. Okay. If it's all right, we're just gonna get started with the agenda and just get rolling here. So I'd like to review and approve the minutes for November 16th, 2022.
And we'll make a motion to approve the minutes of November 16th, 2022. Second it.
All right, any discussion on the minutes for November 16th?
No.
Okay, great. All those in favor of accepting the minutes for November 16th signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, the minutes pass. Any adjustments to the agenda?
Yes, I have the sheriff's contract that didn't
Yep.
get added, and
Cool.
the annual health care document that you guys sign every year. I have that in the folder for you guys to
Okay.
sign. No, I have it right here.
Do we want to do? We'll do the sheriff contract with the budget review, if that's all right.
Sure.
Since we're talking about, it's gonna have an impact on the budget anyway, so. Okay. And then what was the other thing you had for us to sign?
Annual health care document.
Okay, gotcha. You wanna do that? We can do that first?
Or we can do it under me.
Okay, yeah, we'll just do it,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine. All right. All right, okay, then we'll roll with the agenda with those ads. New select board secretary, so we have Thane here joining us. He's given it a shot with seeing if it's gonna be a good fit. He's able to help us be the select board secretary, and we're glad to have you and welcome. And
Thank you.
we're already excited to have you here to help.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, hopefully Deborah Juris and Sarah Spira don't holler at us too much tonight, scare them away.
What was your name?
So I would just say, you know, with Thane helping us with the minutes tonight and as kind of his trial run, definitely if folks have to speak, make sure you state your name so he knows who is talking, so he can make sure that it's indicated correctly in the minutes.
And if you have any questions for us or whatever, just let us know
Okay.
Yep.
what you need or what you don't need. If you don't know who's who, which has been a problem in the past.
Yeah. And definitely,
Are we doing the
feel free to interrupt and ask questions.
Okay.
sign
Too,
in?
that's
All
fine
right.
too.
Okay.
So, yep. Okay.
Wonderful.
All right. Great. Well, again, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. 2023 budget review and finalization. So I think everybody has had a chance to look at the budget, I hope. I think what I'll do first is do the sheriff contract so that we can make sure that that's correct. And then the other thing that needs to be corrected in here is the ambulance contract as well. We'll start with the sheriff's contract. So page 8 of 14, Caledonia Sheriff, we've got it in here as it's in here right now at $13,500 for the sheriff, for the contract specifically. So for, I think just so everybody, so that it's stated, the way the budget's laid out here, the first constable budget section has been zeroed out, and for the budget year for 2023, the sheriff's department has its own line, and the town constable that is Mark Puffer has his own budget line separate. So those are called out as separate line items in the budget. So we didn't just completely, get rid of what was there for the first constable budget. That's now absorbed in other places. So Caledonia County Sheriff's Department, $13,500 is for, at $39 an hour, 6 hours a week, for 52 weeks. It ends up being, you know, if we round it up to 13,500, that covers us for any additional, you know, wiggle room we need.
Which is really pretty cheap.
That is,
at the end of the day.
compared to where we were previously. I mean, we're with that and Mark Buffer's budget combined,
We're still a little
we're
under,
still,
aren't we?
yeah, we're still below where we were with
Yeah.
Jim downing in the budget there, so.
I think that's a good
But
thing.
I think so far the sheriff's department's done a great job.
Yeah, I'm happy. I
Council.
mean, they've been showing up every week and I see them and
Yep.
so,
They haven't pulled me over yet, so I think they're doing good.
Well, I don't know. So I think that's fine, so I think what we just need to do is probably just, I'll complete the contract here and sign it, and we'll send it back to the sheriff's department. So
good.
so that's what we've got in the budget for that. The other item to cover is the ambulance contract,
Which is up
which
16,000.
which is up. We had initially put in here 35,000. Where's that at?
Page 6.
Page 6, yep. 35,000, so that's gonna change to 44,000.
What would it cost us to do our own transport?
Well, we would have to have another
We have a whole
vehicle.
bunch of EMTs now and
Yeah,
everything.
we don't have the proper vehicle for it, right?
No.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, we can just buy a new one.
You could buy a new ambulance, yeah. But then you're staffing 4 people 24 hours a day. You don't have to be, they don't have to be on, you know.
the services we get with Woodsville Ambulance are 24/7 coverage for whenever we need.
Well, no, I was just thinking, I'm like, for 45,000, and then we could go in with Rygate, right? So there would be 2 towns. Okay.
What shift are you gonna work?
Yeah, but the same one I'm working now.
So, I mean, that obviously is a significant increase.
Yeah. Do
from-
we have like,
I left you a copy of the letter that kind of, to remind
Yeah.
you why it was going on.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, so we did receive a letter in August from the directors of Woodsville Rescue Ambulance, and, you know, obviously it's,
low wages, staffing to
Yeah.
increase?
and things like fuel prices being up and cost of supplies are up. I mean, it's a lot of different things. So,
So it's $45 per capita, so that's how we come up with the figure. That's what they told us.
$45 per capita.
Per what?
per person,
Nine, per person in town.
Okay,
per resident,
well,
so,
So we got 984 people.
gotcha.
but not everybody in town is gonna need them. So do we get money back? Okay.
Yeah.
You can sign off and just jump.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's an essential service that, you know, obviously, we're not the only town that.
No, I know, it's just 16,000.
It's a big increase compared to where it was last
It's
year.
a hard
Yep.
thing to swallow for,
Yep,
that's all. It's a lot. But
Yeah, no,
It is,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah.
it is a
At this
lot,
point.
yep.
Unless there gets to be some competition or something.
And that's hard to come by.
Yeah,
Everybody's
it's the
hurting. Yeah.
Same issue with every ambulance service, I know.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure Calex out of St. Johnsbury has the same issue.
Yeah.
It's people, it's, you know, folks willing to be on odd shifts to do stuff that, you know.
I was listening to the scanner tonight, and Calex had a second call. They couldn't staff an ambulance, so Lindenville had to come over for them. So, I mean, even
Yeah,
Calex can't
mhm,
always put together a second crew on a.
yep,
Got it.
so,
Okay,
you know, it's,
but can we make some other adjustments in our budget that we can
I-
absorb some of that too, like
yep, I think there
our
are some.
reserve fund?
Yeah, I think
stuff?
there are some opportunities. So with that increases, you know, our overall budget by another $9,000.
Are there any copies of the budget for someone to look at while you guys
I have one copy, but I wrote a bunch of notes.
I printed last.
Week, but that's on next year.
No, it's not next year, it's just current.
I was
year.
just wondering about how things, what you're talking about, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
didn't make
I've got a list of my highlights of the budget, so
You have a list.
yep.
Extra copies, okay.
but I think we'll make sure, I think part of it's things like the ambulance service contract being in there and sheriff, so that we can have it finalized to a point where we can put it out for everybody to have available. So definitely, we're gonna get to that point where we can get it out to everybody and have it available. So, I mean, that puts our overall, let me go to that page. Yeah, overall, that brings our, right, as it is currently, a $66,000 increase on the budget from last year, which is just over 5% now with that. That's probably another, it's probably 6% of increase of the budget.
Yeah, because it was 5 before, so.
Yep. So, I'm gonna go down my list of just highlights. So what makes up the $66,000 in increases on the budget? And I have this wrong, but, you know, we're talking about, now, I mean, with that, that's another, what did I say, 19,000 of that is, you know, increases in contracts and service contracts, so ambulance, passive, VLCT, like all of those contracts add up to roughly just under $20,000 in fees that are increasing because of the cost to do business, I think, across the board.
So, an interesting discussion, I think, would be, okay, so if we went, let's say we went up 5% this year, 6% this year, what's it gonna do next year?
Yep.
Are we gonna keep going up?
It's
Are we
hard to
gonna go
say.
up 3% this year, 4%, try to cut back our reserves and whatever, but then next year, are we gonna have to make up for that, I guess is gonna,
I think there's part of the discussion, I want to get to that, because I have some thoughts on that. So some other things that are included in here, we've expanded the IT budget to replace the computer fleet, which is getting to be aged at this point. From a technology standpoint, we're at the end of the life cycle of the computers we've got, which are about 10 years old. So that includes $2,000 for a reserve fund annually over the course of the next several years to be able to have available funding to replace technology as needed, which makes sense. And then $5,000 specifically for half of the computers that we have in the municipality this coming year. And then we'll have the additional computers taken care of in 2024. We got $4,000 increase in community building maintenance. A lot of that has to do with fuel and electricity charges, and those are projected. So I think it's important that even if we're over, you know, we're over projecting on our fuel usage as a municipality, we are thinking the right way right now, just with fluctuations in costs. Same thing with emergency services. Obviously, we did have. And it doesn't represent a large amount, but we did have a number of stipend increases that we've pushed forward with the appointed positions, mainly to help, I think, with the folks that we retain, the folks that we have in those appointed positions who are doing a good job, but also hopefully help recruit with things like the health officer. And then, you know, right now we've got an increase of about. All told, it's about $20,000 in the reserve funds that we've got increases for. One of those increases is $11,000 that's associated with the new auditing contract, which is one piece. But anyway, and then from a budget improvement standpoint, we've got a couple of things that we've done to help reduce some of the budget. So obviously, the big thing that we've done, which in the budget you can see clearly, was the insurance increase for employees, the decrease for what the percentage that the town pays. You know, it shows in the budget lines for insurance by department. And then we're sticking to a cost of living adjustment for wage increases with no additional wage increases beyond that. And then, you know, there are a few reductions here and there. One of them that we determined at the last meeting, which is the property maintenance budget drops by about $5,000. And then there's some opportunities that, you know, we should think about, and that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about, are things like the reserve funds. So, you know, as it stands with our reserve funds right now, there are some opportunities with a couple of the reserve funds that I want to, you know, get everybody's input on. So we get to that right page.
Which is fine, we just gotta be careful, if, you know, obviously everything's going up, so the budget would go up. But if we try to cut everything back so that we don't really make it go up that much, are we gonna pay for it next year?
Well, that's where I think looking at
You know what I mean, we gotta be careful, we've worked hard to try to keep things.
So I would say with our operations budget, the way it's laid out, both for the municipality and for the highway, I don't think we need to change I don't think we adjust anything additional with that.
But
I think
it's out of our means, you know, like the ambulance contract.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have any say in that. The
Cost.
audit thing, that's out of our hands, so, you know, there's $25,000 increase right there.
Correct.
Fuel and everything else, and the cost of living and whatever, I don't know, you know, we just gotta be careful. We don't wanna cut ourselves too short.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's where I think, for me, it's looking at opportunities within the reserve funds. You know, where do we have reserve funds that have, you know, a substantial amount of funding already
Correct,
currently?
absolutely.
That we
So
can
I
potentially cut
printed
back this year.
reserve funds for all of you.
Yep.
Okay.
So, you know, there's a couple here that I want us to really, well, there's one in particular I want us to really kind of consider. I'd say that we've cut back on things like the community building improvements already over the last 2 years.
And right now, there's 85,000
Yep.
in that fund.
So,
So, what did we have, what we were putting in this year for the?
5,000, which is
It
the same
was
as
like
last.
20, wasn't
It
it?
was
The year
20
before
for
last,
years.
it was 20. We changed it last
Last year we
year.
lowered it to 5, and this year we left it at 5.
Okay.
So the big one I think I'd like to get some input on from everybody is the Emergency Services Durable Equipment Fund. So, you know, right now,
That's 47,000.
we've got about 47,000 in there.
And what's that for?
It's for,
Durable equipment.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
What does durable equipment mean? Like just
Stuff that wears
equipment?
out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that, the idea is you put X amount of money in that reserve fund every year, and then when you need a new air pack, you don't go to the town and say, we
Right.
need $14,000 this year.
Yep.
Or you need new radio, and so
Yep.
it keeps the budget line from spiking.
Okay, so it's at 45, what were we gonna put in this year?
25,000.
Really?
Yep.
So could we cut that back by like 10, something?
That's my thought. I mean, right, last year it was set at 20,000. The year before that, it was 18,000 for what we put into the reserve fund.
So we're going up with it that much more this year with it?
And I'm not sure exactly what
I
we were
think
thinking about.
one of the reasons was moving budget lines from the operating budget into, so like
Yeah.
pagers and radios are crossed out on
We
this.
did that the year before,
Yeah, so,
when we went 18 to 20.
But I know we had talked about kind of
Well,
that.
if you took 10 out and you put 15 in, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Yes, I don't.
So we
I mean,
cut
in my
back the-
opinion, we shouldn't be going up to 25 if we were at 18 or 20 anyways. I mean, at this point, I guess, we're trying to
What-
keep,
So I guess
don't
my
know.
question is what on, I mean, this tells me what it started in for the year, but what did we start the year with that on? Do you remember what that, I wondered if I have it here.
Well, this year we spent $11,460, so.
Out of it, from January 1st till now. So, I
so
mean,
obviously if we put in 15 this year, that would cover what we spent this year anyways,
plus a little bit.
plus a little bit.
So I would say that this reserve fund was thought out, and
Yeah.
it's a 20-year
Yeah,
20-year plan. So what are we going to need to replace in 20 years? So figured out what that total number was, and then went back. So how much each year do we need to meet that in 20 years? So that's where the number comes from. That 18,000 2 years ago.
I think
But we're
Wade was
increasing it now, so I'm just curious,
Everything's more expensive.
right?
Well, I think when Wade came too, he thought there was only like 11,000 in it, so I don't know if that played into him thinking he needed to put more.
I don't know if that played a
Which,
part or
that
not.
is correct. He
Yeah.
did think there was only 11,000.
But part of that was that you took things out of the regular budget.
That was 2 years
So like
ago.
SCBA was taken out, gear was
Yeah, yeah,
taken out, radios were taken out.
Oh, you mean individual
In-
lines?
individual
Individual
operating.
line items were taken out of the
Yeah.
How much
yearly
in-
budget and put into what we call the reserve or the capital fund.
Which that was before me, but like, do we have an idea how much in individual lines were taken out? Does it equal what, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to come to an understanding, I guess, of this.
I do believe it was like 2 years ago.
It was
Yeah.
when we did
Yeah.
18, when it went from 18 to 20, was when we took it out of the operation and put it in the reserve. And then this past year, it got to 20, and it was already, all the radios and stuff was already out of it in the year before. So 18,000 was what was put in the year that we took everything out of the regular budget and put it in reserves.
Okay.
The 20-year plan, when was the 20-year plan created?
Do we have a 20-year plan for
Yeah.
this?
Well, the fire department does.
We don't, as the board, we don't know what the plan is.
It's
Well, we,
available.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying, we
yeah,
make the decision what gets put in there,
Yeah.
so,
Well, yeah, so I was just wondering if you got a 20-year plan, and that plan was that you were gonna need so much every year, and if you did that 5 years ago, have we been using that much every year? And I know you're obviously talking about line items changing and going into the reserve fund, but I wonder how on track you are with your 20-year plan, if you get what I mean.
So
I mean, I
So-
know you do.
I mean, yes.
I looked at the last few years to see what went to fund balance. In 2021, 13,566 went back, unused money.
From the reserve fund?
No.
No, from the budget.
From the budget. In 2020, it's 22,000, 19 is 26,000. And I did this back, very end of October, and fire department hadn't used, and emergency service hadn't used 26,000. But it's all changed.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
figure
yeah.
for year to date has changed.
all right, well, I mean, we don't have to spend a lot of time going back
I'm
and
just-
forth on it,
I'm
we just
just-
gotta figure,
yeah,
we've
I-
cut everything else
Yeah, I'm
in small amounts in some way for reserve funds, it seems like, so we just,
I think my
that-
question, and I am happy to talk to Chief
Wade.
Johnson about it, is is it possible for us to cut that back this year by a portion of it? Just because, I mean, there's almost $50,000 in there, and right now, we know with ambulance services going up and all this stuff going up, that we need to try to offset some of those costs where we can. And if it's doable to cut that back, I'll ask him if $10,000 is too much, and then go from there. I think the other reserve fund that we needed, and I'm again happy to try to talk to Harold about it, is the highway equipment reserve. My question at this point is what is the next large capital purchase that we need to make from an equipment standpoint. We just replaced the grader, we just replaced the loader.
Well, yeah, and then he says, well, we're gonna need a new truck, which, I don't know why, in my opinion, why are we buying all this other stuff if we know we're gonna need a new truck too, so I guess
And that's kind of, yes,
So the highway equipment fund, when that reserve was set up, there's a percentage each year that was set up to put in there. So
It says it with
it
the
says it
article.
with the article and how.
it's
the
gotta be
reserve-
2.99%,
3%, yes.
3%.
Of the whole highway budget?
3% of what was put in the year before.
Oh, okay.
Increased by
Added.
3%.
Yeah.
Right, but we haven't really stayed on schedule about what we were supposed to replace and how and when anyways. We
I don't
put
know.
I don't
things
know
off
about
and
that.
change stuff and
I mean,
whatever, so.
I think if it was part of what was voted on by the town, as we need to probably try to stick to that unless we have an additional vote to change that.
Right, you can't
And I
change
think,
it.
I think at this point, that may be something we need to consider, because I just think that's, that $70,000 is a lot to put into a reserve fund every year for, durable equipment. Because, I don't know what the price of a new truck is, but, it can't be, we should be looking at that over
How
years.
much are we putting in the highway paving fund this year too?
10,000.
Oh, it's not that much, right?
And then paving, sorry, paving is 50.
Yeah, it's 50,000.
And
So we're
the,
putting in 50,000 this year, there's 60,000 in there, so that's 104.
yep,
Do we do that every year? Do we have to put paving? Do we have to pave every year? What are,
I think the question is that funding is obviously used
well, I
to
can assure
pave
you that the
roads.
state doesn't pave what they should be every
Yeah,
year.
so-
I'm just
We
throwing it out
just,
there.
in the last 2 years, have paved the two largest paved portions of road
Right.
in the town.
Do
For
we
the
have
most
a
part, there's
paving
more
project
to
that
do there, but
I do believe he usually has
Yep.
something to pave every year.
he also lines up, he usually is looking for grants for a lot of that
Yes,
too.
yeah.
So he tries to line up grants, matching grants, especially with the state.
Right, which I don't wanna cut our working yearly costs all back just to try to save the budget.
Yeah.
We still have to operate, and if you keep cutting everything back and then
Yeah.
eventually you run it into the ground like the state has done, and then
Yeah.
it costs
So,
4 times as much,
what
and the budget
what
has to
I'll-
go through the roof to fix it all.
What I'll also say is, and everybody got a copy of this, but the balance sheet that Carrie printed out for us, what I want, part of this discussion really is too, is what is our fund balance? And obviously the year's not closed out, but currently the fund balance is about $371,000, just over $371,000. So my question, Carrie, that just came to my head, and Lisa, is what was the fund balance at the end of last year? So what is our increase or decrease from last year's, fund balance at the end of the year, you know what I mean?
Which we might be able to,
Well, I'd have to run the report as of the date of that.
we don't know yet whether our increase, we can balance it out with the fund balance at the end of the year.
Well, we're
We,
a couple of weeks away to the end of the year. We're on cash basis, whatever's paid
At the
after
end of the year is
January
what it
1st,
is.
where it's over, so.
So I don't
It's
anticipate.
pretty accurate.
I was gonna say, I don't
Lisa's paid.
anticipate, a couple $100,000
Right.
paid out of that in the next
Right.
2 weeks.
Right.
Right.
so we
10
can
or
level out our
$15,000.
budget, we can
Well, and,
balance it out.
we could, and I guess the question really,
Well, I don't know if
I think
it's a
that's-
could, we probably
well,
should.
the question is, yes, I think yes. I think the question is, what we've done in the past is offset the entire budget by a number to reduce what's being raised by taxes. The question is do we want to do just what the increase in the budget is this year? Do we want to do more than that? Or do less than that? I would say it needs to be at a minimum, we should be offsetting
Yeah, absolutely.
what our budget increase is currently. I think the deeper conversation around our fund balance is, if our fund balance is growing year over year, then we have to go back to the budget and see why it continues to increase.
Correct.
Because if we are setting our budget and we're staying to our budget, we shouldn't be growing a fund balance. And that's important because then that fund balance is coming primarily from taxpayer money. So that's
Right.
why we have to be,
Right.
you know, kind of understanding of what our, I would say, what is our year-over-year target for the fluctuation in our fund balance? You know, is it $50,000, you know, is what we gained in the fund balance year over year? That, in my eyes, is probably acceptable. Is it $200,000 a year? That's obviously not acceptable. You know, not that it would be $200,000, because that's like half of the budget, but, you know, or half of what we raised by taxes last year in the
Right.
budget, so. Still, that's just, you know, something to take into consideration. And so it really comes down to, do we try to decrease things like reserve funds to cover that deficit?
Or do you use the fund?
Or do we
balance?
use the fund balance to cover that
Which
deficit?
is,
And
it
we
would
don't
seem
money
like
that's
we
already
would
been raised.
Yeah, it seems like it's a no-brainer, we'd use the fund balance.
Yeah, so then I think then that, you know, kind of is the answer to at least the budget where it is now. So with the
Yeah.
$66,000 increase,
I
if we
forget
don't
about
want to
the
go
fund
back and
balance.
look at looking at reducing or putting into reserve funds or any other part of the budget that needs to be adjusted, then we just use the fund balance to adjust the offset.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that
Makes sense.
make sense?
It does.
Obviously, what I think we do, we have a finalized budget then, I would say. So what I would say the next step will be, you know,
So what do you wanna do? So what do you wanna do about the 10 grand? Leave it alone?
I think I'm gonna still
I'd still
talk
have the
to-
discussion.
Yeah, I'd still have the discussion,
Yeah.
because I think that's at least additional to the fund balance.
Yeah.
We're looking at other ways to reduce the budget.
Right.
So I'm gonna still have that conversation,
Okay.
so that will be the one piece that we need to finalize.
Okay. But other than that, the
Other than
budget
that,
is
yeah.
finalized.
So I would say the next step for the budget really is, at the first meeting in January, will be, you know, what is the final fund balance, and how much of that are we applying towards the budget
Absolutely. Yep, I agree.
for the year? So, does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, one
Yep.
thing to talk about since we're on the budget is the Boulder Beach and Sion
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, that's in the folder.
Yep, which you
I
guys
got the
can,
email on that about the,
That will
finally,
affect the budget too.
that's this
finally.
$31,000.
Well, it's just a
No,
wash.
The
Oh.
paper that I gave you to sign, it's not a complete wash.
Oh.
We'll actually make out
Better?
$1,800. Because
See?
we receive money, but we pay money, so.
Total revenue is 28,900, 65,45, and cost of town is 31,581.
That's over all the years, it was just to show you.
Okay.
So we budget an expense of 4,500, which now we'll remove from the highway budget, but we also budget a revenue of 2,700 coming in. So we
Okay,
won't have that revenue, but we won't have the expense.
so
So it's
it would be
$1,800
Okay.
in our favor.
Okay,
Okay,
so what,
Gotcha.
do we have to do anything with that discussion?
Well, I think a decision should be made because Harold talked to them and he needs to let them know. So, and Harold shouldn't be making the decision. You
Right.
three should be making the decision.
What
So-
is the decision?
That
That we
should
don't
have
bill
them-
each other anymore?
To have them washed and.
That you
to-
agree to
to
not,
nullify it in the budget,
Yeah.
basically.
So we need to make a motion to,
Yeah,
that
I don't know.
I'll move to nullify the Boulder Beach plowing
Arrangements.
arrangement with the
Arrangement.
state. There you go.
Second.
third.
Any other discussion? It makes sense to me. I mean, that's what I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I can't believe the state's going for it, because it makes
I
sense.
can't either.
Maybe they don't quite know what makes sense yet.
Harold said he's been working on it though, so,
Yep.
so,
So,
because I said it's about time.
all those in favor of the motion signify
Aye.
by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. There we go. We decided.
thank you.
Easy peasy.
So then those changes that I have on that sheet, you agree to, or you're agreeing to, and we're
Yep.
gonna change,
Yes.
you're approving the budget tonight with those changes.
Correct.
With the exception
Exception of
of.
the ambulance.
Yeah, so I just want to ask this question.
Deborah Juris.
Deborah Juris.
Yeah.
ORAH. the budget that you're approving or taking the next steps on reflects the budgets that were submitted verbatim. And you're making some changes, you're gonna talk about reducing the reserve fund for durable emergency equipment,
Correct.
but that's all.
That's it, yeah.
Okay, and you're gonna use the fund balance to hopefully bring that back in line.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanna get
Yep.
straight when I report back to the library trustees that our budget is
Correct.
intact the way we submitted it.
Correct.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
The really, as it came down, I think most of the department budgets were, I think, you know, they were reasonable. They were put together in a way that was both able to get the work done, but also fiscally responsible. And I think that you know, is important to I think, communicate. And I think the big changes in the budget are really just the increases in the cost to do business in today's day and age. And
Right.
I don't think, yes, I mean, I don't think there was any big line jumps. Somebody says, well, we need just $19,000 to do this new this year. Everybody kept their budget, operating budget about the same. Prices went up with inflation and, yeah.
the big changes were really, you know, the healthcare
Yeah.
and,
Ambulance budget is huge and
Passive was different,
the,
but
yeah.
the audit is big.
significant, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, really, the only new money we spent this year was on computers, and that was a necessity. That, the only new money we put in the
That
budget
wasn't
that
a lot of
wasn't
money,
big.
but it was $5,000.
$5,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Wasn't huge.
7 to, with the 2
Two.
for the
Oh, yeah,
reserve.
but we made some adjustments in a few things too.
To cover that.
We
Yeah.
saved some money. We saved a little with the constable
Oh,
budget.
yeah,
yeah.
We saved
So-
some money.
The only other thing to be said about the budget is that we intend to present the budget as one town municipal budget, not as two separate budgets for the town
Highway.
and for the highway. They're going to be presented on the,
It's one budget.
as one budget. It really needs to be looked at as one budget. There's no real reason that they need to be separate.
Right.
I mean, we're making all of those decisions, you know, as a singular organization, so, or as a singular municipality, so it doesn't make sense for them to be called out separately at this point, so.
Okay.
All right. Anything else on the budget? So do you want this signed? Okay, and then the only thing that I will get back to you on is talking with Chief Johnson and going from there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll just put this in the folder. Now, where'd my agenda go? Agenda, all right, and then, I'll take care of this too before we're done. All right, department updates. NEK, CUD, I haven't heard anything for updates on that, so I think they're moving forward, and at this point, the OLT cabinet is not
It's
gonna be
moved
on town
anyways.
property, it's gonna be on private property,
I
so.
think Dan did say they've got a spot to move out back. It's just an issue where the camper's parked.
Yeah, right over by the solar panels.
Yeah, so if the building cabinet thing gets put there, that camper could never come out or something.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, that camper should come out of there permanently anyway.
Camper shouldn't be there in the first place.
So he might be.
We're not getting into
working
that.
on that, yeah.
Yeah,
That'll be next year's discussion, right?
yeah, that'll be one of the projects for next year. All right, infrastructure project updates. I've seen a slew of emails going back and forth between Nathan and Sean, or Nate and Sean, I haven't.
Nothing's really
Ready to-
changed, they're just, you know, we had to warn the informational meeting again, because we didn't let it set to 10 days, we only let it set 5 days.
Yeah.
So that's gonna happen at 5:30, the next select board meeting.
Yep.
Have the informational about drainage, here in this room at 5:30. And then we'll have the regular select board meeting following it.
Gotcha.
So that's in the paper this week.
Good.
And that's really, I mean, Nate is still working on, waiting from
For
UVM.
UVM,
and
yep.
So it's just still moving. But this
Good.
was the biggest thing, was the ad
Good,
wasn't.
yeah.
So,
Good for
and
them.
it sounds like at this point, my assumption with the UVM archaeological piece, if it hasn't happened yet, it's not happening until the spring, is my thought. Which means that because I don't think they're gonna come out here, oh, there's no snow on the ground, so, I don't know, maybe
I
it
know
could
he made a
happen.
comment, there's no snow, so, I mean,
Let's get it done.
why can't I? But,
Yeah, I know,
I know,
but I have a feeling that with the
Yeah.
holidays coming up and then we'll be into the winter and the ground will be frozen and they're not gonna wanna come out and do an archaeological survey in the winter time, so.
Right.
No black flies out there now, though, Rachel.
I know, that's right. Jeez, we should remind them of that. Hey, guys, the black
We'll
flies
get
are
lucky
here.
in the winter, it'll all be like this.
right.
And after today, the ground's pretty soggy out there too, so that might be the time.
Well, good, we're still moving along, that's the name of the game.
And we're not off track with the USDA, I think is,
Right.
at this
Right.
point,
Right.
we're not, there's no red flags that we're not getting it
Right.
done along their timeline, which is good, so.
Right.
Good.
All right. Highway,
We had a couple complaints on the roads because they're so wet and muddy. Harold's gonna go look at them in the morning. Hopefully they have hardened up a little. He can try to touch them up. Great Road.
Great road.
My road is on a hill, so. Great Road past Red Brook area
Okay.
and a little further out there.
Which it does get shitty out there.
So he said if he went up with his equipment now, it would just make it worse.
Worse.
Yeah.
So he's gonna try in the early morning, I would assume, and it maybe is a little harder. I don't know if it's supposed to get cold
Yeah,
enough
I don't
tonight.
know.
but-
okay, there wasn't anything else that I saw.
No, just that
No,
boulder.
No,
didn't
just
see
Boulder
any.
Beach,
Yeah.
yeah.
Boulder Beach, which we're all set on. Okay. Treasurer, Lisa, you're up.
So here's the annual health care benefit contribution that, oh my God! That was close. That you guys sign every year, and I filled it out to what you had decided on as the employees are contributing 15% and the town went to a lower plan. So. And it's time for us to, we discussed in the past about opening that new bank account for the ARPA funds. So now I need to move the money to the bank account. That's $289,000. So doing that, come February, March, it could be that we need to borrow.
Which I'll loan the town money,
Okay?
30% interest.
All right. So I'm just telling you, you know, the moving of the money is gonna, you
But
know,
we
'cause
wouldn't normally have that money to use
Yeah.
anyway.
Right, it's not taxpayer.
You know what I mean?
Like,
So-
not money raised by taxes, so.
At this point, it sits as a fund balance until
Yeah.
we use it.
Except that it's in the bank for us to dip into
Yeah,
Correct.
It's
until we get
cushioned.
tax money again next year.
Yeah.
So the only other thing would be if you want to borrow,
What about fund balance money? We can't dip in and use that,
that is the same thing, really. I mean,
but it's not
it
the
is
same.
and it isn't. It's all in the one thing, but.
It's not the same.
Here, we talking, it's not the same.
Well, it is, so,
It is.
so take that figure and subtract the 289, the rest of that is what we'll use, January, February, March,
Okay.
April,
So-
May, June, July, August, September, till tax money comes
Well, you're
in.
saying we should move the money into this, but then you're saying, well, then we
I'm
might
just-
need it.
I
so
know
then-
what I'm
so I
just
don't
saying,
know. So-
I think we should move it and then see what happens.
And do you anticipate that we're gonna still need to borrow on
Yeah.
a tan?
Yeah.
We usually have to.
Yeah,
we do
well,
anyway.
We haven't for for years, really,
So why would we have to this year?
because we're moving for the
Because
last
we've
2
gotten,
years.
over the last
Because
few
we
years,
used
we've
that
gotten the
money.
fund balance
Yes.
down also.
Yeah,
So
we've
the
not
fund
added
balance-
to the fund balance as much,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because this year we used
Tighter.
100,000, and you can see that reflected even on page 2 of the fund balance shows negative 100, and that's right there what we used.
Okay,
Last year,
so,
yep. Yep.
so maybe we should just move part of it.
So the only thought would be, because it's in the same bank, bank.
I can move
So
it
it can
easily.
come back, and we don't have to borrow from the TAN, we just bring 100,000 back.
when we need it, if we need it,
Okay.
we will need it.
And then we're not
Well,
paying interest.
What would the auditors say? I
Oh,
know,
I don't think it's a
as
problem.
long as we have accountability of it.
So the
I mean-
next thing is the TAN note, we got approved for the 275,000. So
Okay.
the rate is high, 5%, 5.1 if we borrow. But
And
we
what-
don't pay anything if we don't use it, like in years past, we haven't used it.
So if we do use it, the 5% is on whatever we use
Yeah.
against it?
Yeah, and we have to pay it back by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So I like to have it, we always have it in
foreclose on the
case.
town?
What's the benefits of moving the money? What does it benefit us?
Just keeping it separate.
Well, we don't make any more money by moving it into something else, so we don't do anything with it?
Yeah, what
No,
would
it's
the
just going
interest?
into another check
Just
in
another
the same
checking.
bank.
So why would we wanna do that? Why?
I mean,
What's the
they'll-
purpose of it?
I don't think there really is.
Why do we need to keep it separate, I guess?
Because
is what
when
I'm
we
trying to
start
say.
the drainage project, we're gonna need to spend that,
Either way, you're
keep
gonna be
track of
using the
it.
money, right? So,
Part of it's, we're gonna have to keep track of it specifically for USDA and government purpose.
Well, NIMRIC, it's already in a
Federal
different
Yeah,
NIMRIC fund, it's already being kept tracked separately. This is actually physically
Moving
moving
it
the money.
from one account to another account.
So we already track anything.
So, I mean, the big thing too is what would be the difference if we would have spent that money already? Right, if that money was gone and we spent it on the project and it wasn't there, we would still have to borrow, we still have to sign a TAN.
right, I'm just trying to figure out
borrow,
what, there's no if we're gonna make.
And if we're gonna save 5% on
20 grand off of
borrowing,
moving it into something else, it seems good, but if it doesn't do us anything,
and the,
we're gonna keep track of it anyways, right? So,
and I'm,
It's
Well-
just to have a little bit in the mind and on paper in a sense to say, this is ARPA money, it's not town money, it's
that's
not
fine,
tax
okay,
money.
then let's
Right.
move the ARPA money.
yeah, that way it's completely separate, free and clear of the town budget, town,
Paper trail.
yeah, basically.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean,
So,
wanted to-
let's move the money then.
Yep.
Put it in a separate amount, a separate account. Do you need a motion for that?
Well,
What are we
we made a
supposed to do?
motion to open it, I just wanted to make sure we all understood
Yep,
that
Okay,
I'm now gonna move the money.
And then
Okay.
you can decide at the time if we want to borrow from the TAN or just move some money back.
if we're,
Yeah,
You can use the ARPA money for anything.
that's not what we did this year. We were way down into it until taxes got paid.
What we supposed to
Yeah, I mean.
I mean, it's there.
No, they told us, they actually recommended
Not doing
not
this,
putting it in a separate bank account.
but,
So,
what are you gonna do anyways?
yeah.
I don't mean recommend, they said you don't have to.
Yes, yeah, it's not, yeah.
You don't have to move in a separate bank account. They wanted us to set up a separate fund, which we did that. We didn't move the money. Now, just seems,
Just seems like if the project's gonna get started and we need to start spending it,
Yeah.
that I wanted it really separate.
Okay.
Well, and then you're not in a position where there's town money that needs to be
Right.
spent and drainage money that needs to be spent and only that much, yeah.
well, and looking at this, you know, I know you guys don't see it as often, but we look at it and you're thinking, wow, that's how much money we have. Well, really, 289 of it is
It's-
ARPA.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's tied up in drainage.
sounds good. Yeah,
Okay,
You all right with that?
yeah, okay, let's move.
okay.
It's going into the town,
So we
though,
just
not
need to
your
s-
account.
Right, okay.
So
So here's
it's-
the, oh,
that's the TAN note. that we have
yes,
to
so
sign.
that's Union Bank TAN note, that's where we've had it.
Gotcha.
And, so 275,000, and like I said, if we borrow against it, the rate is 5. It's usually around 1.
Which actually 5 is excellent.
So
It's gonna be
how
worse.
how far into that money did we go this year?
Into the ARPA money.
Yeah.
100 grand?
I'd have to run a report like of July.
Oh,
The
yeah,
money or the tan money?
ARPA, we never
yeah.
used the
So,
TAN.
so the ARPA money was in its,
No, but I was-
the actual funds, what I'm saying is our cash balance, our actual cash balance in our account. That includes that ARPA funds. So how much of that did we dip into before tax money started flowing in? But, I mean,
I mean, I want
Doesn't-
to almost think that figure got down to about $50,000.
I think so too.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds about right. So, do I just need to sign this?
Yes.
Only one spot, Zach, so.
All right,
What else?
So I
did you
need a
have, Lisa?
motion to approve the TAN,
okay,
Okay.
and they need it for their minutes, and then I'll have more documents.
okay. I'll move to approve opening the TAN with Union Bank.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Hopefully we don't need it, right?
Hopefully we don't need it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Okay, and the
I'll put
next
that
thing
down for-
is Sullivan and Powers, here's their contract to review. There's 2 copies, so we gotta sign twice. And it does have place for 3 signatures. So, it looks like the dates are, they're gonna give us a checklist, and we have to get all the information to them around April 1st, and they'll have it completed by August 31st. And that was it, except just to review the special informational meeting happening at 5:30 next meeting.
Which is 12/21.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was relatively painless, right?
Didn't hurt, right?
No. All right, town clerk, Carrie.
So most of my stuff's been talked about, so I don't have a lot other than, I did have a gentleman come in this afternoon from Rural Edge to say that somebody had ripped off the balusters on the porch above Artisano, throwing them at traffic, and
Children, potentially? Is it-
allegedly,
Let's-
children.
Same children that think that it's funny to run across from white line to white line in front of traffic?
And
While they're
they
waiting on
are
the school
now, he has a picture, the balusters are in the drain.
Which things are kind of falling apart at those
So,
places and
he-
stuff.
I don't know totally what he wanted from me, but I said, the state is in charge of the road and those drains, so I think you have to get a hold of them to pull the top off and get them out before they freeze and travel partway through and clog the whole system. But I saw the picture,
Is his concern just that they're in the drain?
yeah,
He's not asking us to help with,
no,
okay, good.
no, he just said, he didn't know if there was something the town would have to take care of, and I would say no.
No, it's the state.
It's the state.
The state would have to come out and open drain covers and stuff.
I sent you a training, I don't know, it was last minute today, I think, or earlier. So it's reasonable suspicion, it's a federal requirement, I don't know if anyone had a chance just to peek at it, I'm sure no one can do it. It's next week, I'll probably sign up and do it. It's for the people with seats, CDL, yeah, to do it for you. So I guess, I'm gonna do that. It said recommended a couple people in the town,
What's it
but
for again? Sorry.
it's really some federal requirement for us to oversee our CDL drivers, you know, if they're drunk or on drugs.
Yeah, it's a national compliance program, which includes randomized testing for anybody with a CDL that works for the town.
Right,
That's-
which we do that, but this,
Yeah.
so
Is
that's,
it addition to that? Or is that kind
it's
of
a training.
No, I'm saying.
2.5 hours.
Oh, okay. No, do we already follow that procedure now?
Yes,
So, okay, I gotcha.
I get notified what, you know, have to do it.
They have to go
What's
take a
it?
drug test.
So, there's a few other, I was just gonna mention trainings that, no, maybe Dorothy was talking about this, but I signed up for the new grand list and the CAMA one, did you see that?
No.
So that's next week and the week after. If you remember Dorothy talking about the Vermont Pie, everything is slowly transitioning over. So this is a webinar about how it's gonna affect our grand list in Nimerick that we use. So, free trainings through Nimerick for that grand list, and then the CAMA program too, all the changes that are coming. And delinquent tax has one, so I'm gonna do that one too. So, that's all my excitement.
That's why you have a training budget.
Those are all free.
Oh,
Bonus.
excellent.
Free training's always good training.
Yep,
Well,
All right,
financially.
thank you, Carrie.
thank you.
Tuesday at
Um,
9:30.
Dorothy, Assistant Assessor.
Not a lot, I've been working on the PTTRs that are coming in, building permits, and I'm hoping to do some inspections tomorrow, and get out and get some stuff measured. So, just busy and moving along.
How's your knee and stuff?
We're good.
Good.
You're running the forest race next year.
Yeah.
Somebody's in charge of it already, right?
Yeah.
They're Dorothy to run it.
No, she's gonna
I'm sure she
run.
could.
She's gonna run in it.
Oh,
Run it.
I know what you said.
Okay,
All right, thanks, Dorothy.
thanks Dorothy.
Fire and Fast, any updates from Fire and Fast?
I don't. I think there's 2 members that are going to be starting their EMT class. So, 2 different, that sounds right, Dorothy?
Yep.
Cool,
Good.
all
It
right.
is.
Library. Who would like to talk for the library?
The library. Go.
Well, things are moving forward. We are looking forward to hosting, in conjunction with the Rec Committee and the Historical Society, the Winter Lantern Walk on December 16th. So we'll have, in addition to the SD Ireland's holiday mixer. Thank you, Dorothy, for alerting me to the snowplow, light up snowplow that will also be making an appearance. So the town will be well lit on that Friday evening. Santa will be at the Historical Society, which I think will be a really lovely photo op. So yeah, just hoping that it'll be a nice community outing in the evening, but well lit. Thanks to the cement mixer, the snowplow, paper luminaries, and the constable's participation as well, making sure that it's safe to cross the road.
Awesome.
Good. And FYI, if you want to do anything at our park now after dark,
There's
we have lights down there.
All right, good
It's
to
all lit
know.
up, so.
Yep.
Great.
Is there gonna be hot chocolate? That's what my kids are.
Oh, and
It's not
Linda
big
Nunn's
here.
Donuts for free.
Oh, and Linda's up.
At the Historical Society, Linda Nunn's Donuts.
Oh, boy.
Did you say for free?
Yes.
Oh, man.
And what are the hours the lights are on? 5 to 9 or something?
4:30 to 9.
4:30 to 9.
We're talking about the park.
We're talking
Park
about the
lights.
lights.
Tristan, we're not on that subject.
I'm trying to promote some stuff in this town.
You just want to here, you're gonna have to get on Facebook.
I don't need that stuff.
So I have a question about the park lights then.
Okay.
So they're just on
Yes.
from 4:30
To 9.
to 9?
For people to use the park. We're gonna we can kind of adjust that schedule depending on the season and if people are actually gonna use it and stuff like that, basketball or hockey or I don't know.
You donate the hockey rink to go down there?
We tried that once, it didn't work out.
Didn't work
very
out too well.
So anyways, okay.
Cool. Well,
Where's the balustrade when the porch gets thrown
Yeah,
at the lights?
well,
yeah.
thank you, Sarah and Deborah. Zoning administrator. I heard anything from Dan.
He's
No
worked
new-
on,
No news is good news, right?
did speak with him a lot. He's been working hard on up the corner by me there, and I think he's got them straightened out. They had to search through the woods for the upper pin that really wasn't to the property, but it help them find the right line from the pin that was at the road up through. The people who are starting to build had to move everything over 45 feet, I think he told me. It was too far onto the, because that little corner is actually a separate parcel, so where you see work happening now, it needs to really be tight to that
Yeah.
wood line. So I think all that's good and done and straightened out, and their driveway's going in, everything is really gonna be moving along fast, is what Dan said. The other issue he's dealing with is on Levi Pond Road, and that's where two property lines, kind of like rectangle, perfect rectangle properties, where the one line is going through the lower property's camp. He's on the upper property's property. So I guess Dan has done a lot of work with that, and Tom Waterman is coming to survey the upper, I can't remember now which one of them, and figure out exactly where the line is.
Perfect.
And then something will probably have to get adjusted, and I will have to wait and see how that plays out.
Is that all done up next to you too?
The for sale sign's off of it, so.
Shane stopped
I
in the other
haven't
day.
seen, yeah, I haven't seen,
I think he cut all the trees on it.
huh,
And they can't put a new pole in until next year for that support line, I guess,
Yeah.
he's been working with it. I was just curious if you even noticed that.
no, I hadn't, no, I saw the, like I said, the for sale sign go up, but I haven't seen any equipment or anything in there, so.
But
That's all I know for,
Michael, you guys are working on the zoning bylaws, is that gonna come before the board for approval at some point?
We just sent it. So we're at the point where we've sent it to you, I think Monday maybe.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here tonight, because we're trying to understand the whole process, but we send it to you.
Yeah.
You now consider it, so you can make changes to it and say, I don't know what these guys are thinking, or you can agree with us. If you make changes to it, you have to warn a public meeting to, I think, to take feedback on the changes you make. If you choose to adopt it as is after review, I still think you have to do a public meeting.
But I think a regular select board meeting counts as a public meeting towards.
Correct.
So as
It
long as
does.
we warn it as a agenda item.
It's at the point now where we send it to you, you're reviewing it, you're considering it, right? You can also send it back to us and say, we want to see more work on this. And we can follow our procedure again to do whatever it is you think there's wanted to be changed, we do a public meeting, then send it back. But we're at the point now where we've sent what we consider to be the latest amendment that we're all satisfied with, and we work with NVDA on, and it's in your court. And the next step would be, so what's the change? Within 120 days, it seems like, I'll send this to Carrie and to you too, this guide that we're kind of following here. Because it seems like you just have a legislative hearing, which is your select board usually, to vote on it and take feedback. So that's where it's at. So
Yeah, I figured that's what the process was. Mike had sent that email and with all the information and everything on it, but it didn't really say like, all right, well, you guys have to approve this. I thought that's what the process was.
I was gonna write the email to everyone, and I was hoping to get some clarity on like what the next steps were.
Yeah.
And then it took some time to get the email to you, and Mike was like, or I asked Mike, I was like, can you send this like quick? Because it was, getting close. We knew you weren't gonna like vote on it tonight or anything, but I'll read through this again and just make sure we follow we follow everything pretty much to the T so far.
Yeah.
And then Carrie's gonna certify that we followed this whole process. At some point, there's like a certification form, but that's where that's at right now.
Just, yes, send that along, let us know, and we'll put it on the agenda and.
Yeah.
Yep.
I figured it wouldn't be on tonight's agenda, but I figured I'd answer that question.
Okay, awesome. So at this point, we have it for review. We'll warrant on a future select board meeting as an agenda item for review and public discussion, and then we'll make a motion to adopt it. So, as long as there's no changes, but
Yeah, I mean, they sent
we sent everything to report that details the changes. We sent copies of line versions so you can see every change.
Yep.
There's a summary.
Yep.
We even sent the notice we put in the paper so you could see. That was like high level what we did to the
Gotcha.
bylaw.
Okay, good.
Perfect, Mike. That's very helpful. Thank you, Michael.
The other update I have, and I don't know if Karen mentioned it, earlier, is that we've got the hazard mitigation plan partially drafted, I think, or at least we've received a few pages, perhaps. I haven't looked at it yet.
It looked like a lot of it, actually. I scrolled through it quickly, but I guess I don't know if I went, how far I went. But we have that other form to fill out, so I gave you guys that blocked off check sheet of what's been done and not done, right? But we
Yeah.
still need to do that.
I think so.
Yeah.
I was hoping that someone would be like, yeah, we responded to Paul's emails, and I have only responded to one.
I felt like what was sent today, or today.
It was today, right?
I think it was today. Looked like maybe he had advanced further, but he sent that same thing again,
Oh, I see that. Yeah,
I think.
yeah,
Or maybe I was thinking it was gonna be the same thing and it was new.
yeah.
So it was more than I thought was gonna be there. He's got it all kind of written out.
Well, that's
So-
good. Yeah, so that's our
Might
next
be closer.
project we're working on. We're not meeting this month. I figured we didn't have to meet in here, so if you go over the zoning file, I mean, I think you have up to 3 months or 4 months to adopt.
I don't think we'll take that long.
Yeah.
But, no, appreciate it, Mike.
And Warwick, I have no update on. We're still waiting for the grant application.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Meeting monthly, and if anyone's interested in joining us, I think our next meeting is next week. Email my site. Myself or my guys can give you the details.
Cool.
Still no agreement letter?
We're working on
Okay, health officer, I've got nothing. I don't think there's anything that's come up there, but we are still looking for a health officer, so if anybody's
Maybe
interested.
Thane would like to
Thane
add
would like
that.
Yeah, you wanna be the health officer? Anything for maintenance?
The only thing I wanted to report was the pole that's right next to my car, Green Mountain Power, put it on their list. So someday it will be
Someday it will be
removed. It's the one that
Yeah.
everything's been removed.
No.
So it will happen. at
Fire
some
department
point.
wanna train on the chainsaws?
No, it sounds like they're gonna pull it out.
No, I know,
And then they do some type of digger thing to get the
get it
stump
out of the
out.
way.
So that's what she said.
yeah. All right.
I got one thing on maintenance. Fire department went out beginning of the week. Does that sound right, Dorothy? The kids playing basketball in the gym knocked bounced the basketball off one of the smoke detectors.
Oh, yeah.
It set the smoke detector
I
off,
heard.
which sets off all the smoke detectors. So one thing that was discussed last night at the fire department meeting would be getting a cage for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I can look into that.
That makes
See if
sense.
they find something.
Yeah.
What about the thought of, like, that goes off and can't hear it from outside?
There was a bigger conversation. The fire department had talked about this alarm going off and that there is no alarm system for this municipal building.
As in audible alarm system.
If this smoke detector, something catches on fire in this kitchen, all these smoke detectors
Yeah,
will
there's
go
no
off.
strobe and
There's
sound.
nobody, but nobody will know.
Yeah.
So,
Especially the gym, and it's closed up, you can't even hear that they're going
yeah.
off.
So,
that was the discussion at the department last night was perhaps to bring that up at town meeting. I told them that there is money in building reserve funds.
yeah, there's money in the reserve fund. I would say that is something that's been identified as a risk that we need to mitigate,
Yeah.
and I think that
Now, when these go off
I
in
would say we
here,
just
you
find
get
what we
an
need.
alarm.
No,
Why did we think
Why
that
did
happened?
that happened one time? Linda burnt toast and
I think
everybody
it was just
came
Dorothy.
running.
Yeah, Dorothy called it in.
I already called it in.
Yeah.
So the other bigger discussion was, once we started talking about this building, then there was more discussion about the fact that we have 3 buildings
Yes.
with major liability, major, fire trucks, town trucks, and that we need to look at all 3 buildings. And the feeling of from the department last night was that we'd like to see it either done by the selectmen, if the selectmen can just do it, or get it as a warning item on the town meeting for this year.
For getting an alarm system?
Yes, alarm systems that would go to a real alarm company. Go to Groton County or an alarm company or whatever.
Yep.
Who would do that?
An alarm company.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say, I would say that we're all in agreement that that is a necessity for this building. I think that if someone wanted to help contact different companies and get quotes for what it would cost to install a system, that would be great too. As you know, I think that in today's day and age especially, you know, we need to be, and this building, I think especially the way it's constructed, we want to be able to give everybody as much notice as possible, as quickly as possible, if there were an emergency event in the building.
Is that gonna be a problem though, like the town garage with their equipment in there, the diesel smoke, is that gonna set the alarms off when they
I
have
would
all their equipment in there?
imagine, most of them, they have different systems for different things. So I imagine that town garage, they'd probably do a temperature one, where it's not exactly a smoke detector, but if the temperature rises 100 degrees in 30 seconds or over a 2-minute span, then it alarms. So they have different systems, different setups for things like that.
Yeah. I think it.
Karen, do you want to get quotes?
I can call, yeah.
I think it makes sense. We have the funds available and reserve funds to do it.
Yeah,
so.
that was what I brought up last night. All 3 of those buildings have
Well, how
building
come
reserves.
we waited so long to get to this point?
Well, it's the same thing with the.
It's 2023 and we've never done
thing with the
anything about this?
Well,
Well, the alarms are new, the smoke detectors are new, that was a great thing that was done, and if we burn a bagel, we know we burned the bagel, but nobody else in the world knows, and there's no light that flashes, there's nothing that connects to anybody.
yeah, if there's an actual fire, then it wouldn't. Yeah, not, and I think it makes sense. It's the same thing though with fire suppression. So technically, a municipal building like this should have a fire suppression system. However, because of the age of the building, it wasn't a code requirement when the building was constructed.
Right.
You know, goes to
Well,
the
fire
conversation.
department's next door.
Yeah. Well, it goes exactly. Well, and it goes to the conversation about, you know, an addition of a kitchen on the back of the building. That's
But somebody
because of
has to
code.
be
That's
here
going.
when the fire starts, so they can call the fire department.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, the air horn.
Yeah,
That's it.
okay, so
So-
let's work on that.
Yeah.
We could use the bell.
We'll ring the-
That covers
got a
maintenance.
cowbell.
Okay,
Well,
maintenance.
the lights, I guess you already touched on that, right? Lights are done. Did we
Park
talk
lights.
about that last meeting?
Park.
Park
You
lights,
mentioned
yeah.
it was, but I saw that they're done.
Yeah, every night
It
they're
looks
on.
so good.
It does look
It
good.
does. Well, it's lit up down there, so
That's a good
And-
thing.
that
I
is a good
got
thing
a-
all around.
No
Comment from a nearby person, homeowner, and said that she loves it.
Oh,
Good.
Good.
nice. Good.
I mean, I think,
Oh, wonderful. Nice, I'm
She
glad.
said she loves it.
well, I mean, I think, you know, the, getting the low light pollution
Yes.
ones, that it's
Yeah.
not flooding light
Yeah.
all over it.
Yeah, they're not
lighting
yard
the-
blasters.
You
They're-
can't
So
see that the
even
lights
like-
are
So
on
it
from
lights
my
up
house, so
where
that's.
you're right there, but it doesn't.
And they're on.
everybody else.
Yeah.
They're on down there, which is nice. When you drive by, you can tell that it's
Oh,
lit up.
I know, it
Yeah.
looks great.
I
But it's
love
not
lining
like
up into
a-
the sky.
Yeah.
That's right. It's not
Yeah,
a
looks
big
good.
giant orange light that
What's on fire?
goes everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little bit more on the maintenance. So, there's things that probably gonna need to be done. We haven't seen Ben in a little while to see if he's still interested in doing that, being our maintenance person.
Well,
'Cause-
I didn't touch on Harold to talk to him for the plowing.
And he's
Oh.
doing
So
that.
he's willing to do that, so.
Oh, okay. I didn't
So
know
I'd
that.
say he's probably willing to do maintenance, right?
All right, we need a Christmas tree and we, you know, need it put up and
I'm
he usually
done with
does
Christmas
that.
You
trees.
can
And
find
he-
one.
And he puts up the
Done.
reindeer and
That season sailed.
so.
He took the banners down.
Frank still do stuff for us sometimes?
He just does the fire alarms monthly
Yeah.
and helps Ben with the banner up and down.
I'll get you a Christmas tree.
Big one.
No, it's not gonna be a big one.
No, we don't want a big one or we can't get the
There
light.
was a select board around here that shot down the whole tree.
We just need one,
We're out there.
yeah.
Well, it's a little late, we're at the 7th
know.
of December.
We're just gonna have to leave it up till February to get our money out of it.
That's it, yeah.
I'll get
You
it
can leave them up to
straight. It
April,
won't be
it'll
amazing.
last
I'll
outside
get-
that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm busy, but I'll
Thank you.
IT.
Anything for IT?
That's it.
I think we're, all right. Open to the public and other business. Well, we did planning commission kinda already, so.
Yeah, let's ask Michael about the zoning bylaws again.
No,
This is where we were supposed to do it.
All right.
good.
Anything for open to the public or other business?
School board members,
I haven't heard
I
anything.
mean, not still
have we advertised or?
to be determined. We don't do that, the school board does that.
I mean, I put it on Facebook page and
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah, town Facebook page.
people spread it around, people shared it, so I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, yeah. I'd say we're looking for
Volunteer?
one now and we're looking for one in March too, so, you know, we'll have it. at least-
Tristan's got all sorts of free time.
No, I don't. And if I did, I don't wanna spend on that.
I'll say, Dorothy, I think I've said it before, but I'll say it again, is, that it is an extremely important from a budgetary standpoint, taxation standpoint. It's an important role having, you know, having our representatives on the school board. So, it's not a little thing, you know, it's important for the town of Groton to be represented at the school board, especially because our tax rate is made up a large portion by,
What do you mean? The largest.
the largest, that's correct, the largest portion of what's raised by taxes goes to the school for operating their budget, so. Anybody that's interested, definitely
Yeah.
contact the school.
Melissa,
You were volunteering me. Oh, yeah, Melissa.
Alyssa.
Alyssa, that's right, Alyssa. Sorry.
All right.
We need more stress in my household.
Special informational meeting on 12/21 at 5:30. That is for the drainage project. It's just a kind of a, and you said you already put that out in the newspaper, so that's good. That's so we meet the regulatory requirements for the project to continue to move forward. All right, setting the agenda for December 21st, 2022. I will not be in attendance for that meeting.
All right, we're gonna
Just so
have
you
all
know.
sorts of stuff we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Cookies.
I know, I'm gonna miss the
Do we
cookies.
wanna do cookies?
Yeah, bring cookies. Yeah, absolutely.
Zach's not gonna be here.
I'll send you some. I think the big thing would be, I mean, I think the budget follow-up, we should probably keep on there until
So
January.
you'll let someone know before
We
then
just need
about
an email or
that?
something on the.
Yeah, I'll call Wade,
Okay.
tomorrow.
Talk to Wade about that.
Yep. Yeah, I'll talk to Wade and let you know as soon as I talk to him.
Other than that, then I guess it's pretty cut and dry
Yep.
where we're at.
And we can put, do we wanna put the zoning
Zoning
bylaw
bylaws.
review, or do we wanna hold off till January on that?
Let's not jump into that right this second.
Let's
hold
put
off
that
a
on
bit.
for the first
about
meeting,
that for
first or
January,
second
yeah.
meeting
Yeah,
in
let's get
January.
the
Is that all
budget.
right, Mike? Yep.
You kind of suspected it.
It's the holidays
Holidays,
and
yeah.
Yeah,
budget
let's not-
season and,
Let's get through the budget.
Yeah.
yep,
You're meeting at 5:30 anyways to do for the drainage, so.
Yep. Yep.
Just don't push it off the town meeting, we don't need that.
You said 4 months, we're gonna use that 4 months.
yep. That's why they gave it to us in December. All right, great, so I think budget, or the agenda should be pretty straightforward then, pending anything that comes
Yeah.
up, so. All right,
Sign
Okay.
orders after.
we'll sign orders after we adjourn. I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All right, we'll give that one to Aaron. He comes first in the alphabet.